To listen ad-free, visit zinspod.co/subscribe. Starting at $2.99 a month, you'll also get access to our exclusive bonus content episodes when you join through Patreon or Apple subscriptions. Thanks for supporting the show.
What can I say? He was a great dad. My son loved him.
He was a great example of if you want something, you can achieve it. It doesn't matter where you start. Always keep moving forward. He was very, very driven person.
As of right now, I really feel like they're just kind of letting him be another one of the numbers of black young men that have been murdered in our country, and I really don't like that, because he wasn't just that. He was a business owner, a dad, a brother, a friend, an inspiration. He was something in this world.
Hi, and welcome to Sins and Survivors, a Las Vegas true crime podcast where we focus on cases that deal with domestic violence, as well as missing persons and unsolved cases. I'm your host, Sean, and with me, as always, is the one and only John.
I am the only John in the room.
We've covered a few cases in our first season in which families of victims are not only grieving a lost loved one, but are trapped in a situation where they aren't getting the updates they deserve from the police and the rest of the Nevada legal system.
Unfortunately, we have another tragic example of this for you. A loving dad to a sweet young son, a talented musician, a business owner, and a true leader in his community was lost on March 5th, 2024, and his family deserves answers.
On March 5th, 2024, around 7 p.m. on Dreamy Hill Avenue, near Commerce Street and Tropical Parkway in North Las Vegas, Justin Smith, his loved ones called him Jay, was shot multiple times and crashed his car. He was taken to the University Medical Center, and after several days, sadly, he did not make it, leaving behind so many people who loved and depended on him.
We were able to speak with three of those many loved ones: Jojo, his son's mom, his brother Xavier, and his partner Sam. They knew him best, so we're going to go straight into that interview. We truly appreciate them being willing to tell us more about the amazing person Jay was. Here is our interview with them in its entirety.
Xavier, will you start us off by telling us a little bit about Jay, what he was like as a brother, as a friend, as a dad?
We absolutely will. Obviously, Jay was a lot older than me. I believe he's about 8 or 9 years, so he was always, you feel me, like a big brother that I looked up to in the house. Kind of always aspired to be like. He played basketball, I was out playing basketball. If he was skating, I wanted to go out skating. Pretty much everything he did in life, I tried to, mirror and do in some type of way, shape, or form, because I just always wanted to be like him. I knew he was always just a really good person, really caring. Always really hard working. That's why we always called him Jay Grinds, because that boy didn't know how to quit. Just a great father, a man that showed me how to be a dad to my kid, showed me how to be a man in my life. Like I said, an outstanding person. There's only one person that could ever be like that, and that would only be my brother.
Thank you. Jojo, do you want to add to that?
Yes, I can speak for obviously he was a great person, and I can speak as a father. We have a 7-year-old boy. What can I say? He was a great dad. My son loved him, and all he ever wanted to is to be a great dad to my child due to what he'd had growing up. As for him, his childhood was not the greatest, or he didn't have a father figure, so all he wanted to do was to be a great dad to my son. Besides that, he was a great person. He was, like his brother said, a person that a lot of people looked up to and followed steps and everything. So we're really trying to just continue his legacy and what he was, and make sure that my son always going to know who his dad was.
Awesome. Thank you. Sam, what would you like to say?
Man, okay. Yeah, Jay was outgoing, brave. He wasn't scared of much. He took me parasailing. He liked anything adventurous. It was made for Jay. He wanted to go skydiving. He just was full of energy, and Like they both said, a lot of people looked up to him. He's, you know, he's a part of so many communities, the sneaker community, the bike community. Like he rode motorcycles, he knew a lot of people. And it's like anywhere you go, obviously Las Vegas is small, but it's like the world is so small, everyone knows Jay in some way, shape, or form. He was a great dad. He was very hardworking, like Xavier said. He was a business owner, and you know, looking back, it's like he is the one who kept us all together. Like after all of this, I feel like we all kind of realized how much he had on his plate, and he made it look so easy and did not break a sweat.
And you said he was a business owner. Tell us a little bit about his business.
Yeah, so I want to say maybe like the past 4 years, he has a junk removal business, which is named after himself and his son. So their names both start with a J. It's called JJ's Junk Removal. Um, yeah, he had really built that from the ground up and was doing very well from him for himself. And not only for himself, he was able to give others the ability to, provide for their families, because that's just the type of person he was. Like if he had something, he would make sure anyone around him is having the same and never going without.
How old was Jay when he passed away?
28.
I read in the news that he was a rapper.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about that, Jojo?
Yes. He was a local Vegas rapper, very known. He started doing this years ago. Even I remember, like in 2016, 2015, he would sit there and just start making his own beats, his own music, his own lyrics, everything. I really seen him like start from the bottom where he first started rapping and making music. Um, and to the person that he was right before he passed away. But his music was like a part of him. Like he loved to write, he loved to do his own everything, and I feel like you know how people have like their ways, like this is who you are. I feel like for him, it was rapping, like making music. He will be in the studio for hours, just sitting there and yeah, I'm trying not to think about it, but
I'll maybe try to help Jojo finish her thought. Music was his way of expressing himself, because like I said, he was pretty much the top of the pyramid, and we all just fell underneath him. Like he just was such a great leader, and he was a very strong person. He wasn't, not that he wasn't emotional, but he always appeared as strong as he could so that everyone around him felt safe, felt secure. And so I feel like with the music, that was his way of kind of opening up to anyone who would listen. And I feel like a lot of us in the end, uh, we all kind of had like this realization, like we weren't listening close enough to the music, because like Jojo said, he had a rough, upbringing. And yeah.
Do any of you want to share how, if someone was listening to our episode and they wanted to check out any of his music, is there a way to do that? Is that something you're comfortable with also, Jojo?
yes, of course.
Yeah, absolutely. So I believe you can look up his music on YouTube. It would be under. He is on all platforms, I believe, but I know YouTube has pretty much every collection of his songs. besides a couple unreleased. I believe the name would be under J Grinds.
702.
Yeah, J Grind 702. That would be the YouTube, and that would have pretty much the collection of all of his music and pretty much every song he ever created.
And just a side note, I feel like there actually is more music on either Spotify or Apple Music than there is on YouTube. But YouTube has videos and the others do not. And I think if there's any two albums that like express him the best, it's Masterpiece is the one album, and the other one is called Sincere.
My next question was going to be, Jojo, if you want to go first, do you have a fondest memory of Jay that you want to share?
Honestly, there's a lot. I've known this man for plus 10 years. But I could say when my son was born, that's when I seen Jay really change as a better as a better person for him and for his son and for the people around him.
Xavier, do you want to share something about your brother?
Well, yeah, pretty much. Obviously, like they were mentioning, my brother did have a little bit of a harder upbringing. Him being a lot older, he did age out of the household before I did. But I guess I could probably say the memory about when we were reconnecting. Again, with Sam saying Vegas is such a small place. I'd always had my older brother on social media, us being not the closest at that time. We'd always just check in on each other, but it would never be nothing too much. He was building his life. I was still in the house with my parents. But there was one day we were walking Fremont Street, and it just so happened that the whole family was together for once. And out of the blue, I just noticed Justin walking with one of his friends. It just so happened to be that we had both started to hit Fremont Street at the same exact time. And I kind of just noticed him. I was a little bit too nervous to go talk to him because I hadn't seen him in a couple years. So my older brother Tyson did. He ended up kind of seeing us all coming over, and I don't know, like first impression, I just assumed like I hadn't seen him in a couple years. I didn't know how he was gonna react, and that boy didn't have a doubt in his mind. He just was all love. Just came, gave me the biggest hug. Pretty much told me like now that he's back in our lives, he got us, and he meant it because not a lot of people know that I was also brought up in a weekly from like the 6th grade to pretty much I graduated high school. And right about that time is when Justin was building his business and starting to become something for himself. So he pulled me and my family out of the weekly, gave us an apartment, got me my own room, and let me started working with him for his junk removal. And so he just started to literally help everyone around him. And this is probably after 2 days of us reconnecting. I hadn't seen this nigga since I was probably 7 years old. And yeah, it's just crazy. That boy was nothing but love. He had no bad intentions for anyone. He didn't hold any grudges. And he wanted nothing but the best for everyone around him.
I think one of my fondest memories would be he had been already, but the first time I went to Hawaii was with him, and he loved the water. Xavier showed me some pictures of him as a child, a baby, and he basically was that exact same child, but in a grown man's body. Like, he was swimming like crazy in the ocean, and he took me on a like forbidden bamboo like forest hike that had like a waterfall and all this crazy stuff. He just was always looking to make memories, and yeah, I'm very grateful for that.
Can you walk us through what you know about the events that led up to what happened on March 5th?
Yeah, so I was the last person to see him physically on that day. Um, it was a normal day for us. He was, out running errands. I was working. And yeah, it just caught us all off guard. I mean, I got the message through a mutual friend on Instagram, basically just kind of saying, hey, there's something up with Jay. Like, we got a crash detection from his phone, and the person that received the crash detection went to, where it alerted him to, and they, everyone was just very confused because it just, obviously caught us all off guard. I feel like we all in the beginning kind of thought maybe like, oh, it's a car crash, but it quickly, very quickly, like within minutes of being at the scene, went left. And yeah, it's like I mentioned to you, Sean, the police were just acting very strange from the beginning. Just for example, like there was, obviously people were gathering in the streets because, people like to be nosy. And it, with our own eyes and ears, we're hearing the police say to, one couple that basically someone's DOA or, whatever. So it was just very confusing because, I mean, obviously we got the alert to be there. So we knew that it was him that was, involved in whatever was going on. But the police didn't seem to care about our concern, even though we were making it very clear, like, this is our family member. And, like, we're pretty sure this is our family member. All we were trying to do is get clarification. And for whatever reason, they didn't want to give us any information, but random people that were just passing by were getting answers before us. So it was just all very strange from the beginning. And it happened 7 minutes from where him and I live, and Xavier lives about 7 minutes from the location as well.
Jojo, do you want to share about what happened on March 5th? And it's my understanding that Jay was shot, but he didn't pass away for several days later. Is that correct?
Yes. He was shot on March 5th, and he was pronounced brain death March 10th, and then he got unplugged on March 11th. He was in UMC trauma for a couple of days, and that's where, between those days, that's where all his family and friends came to say what they had to say to him.
But he didn't wake up after the shooting.
No, he didn't.
Do you want to talk about how you heard the news?
Yeah. March 1st was just, honestly, like Sam said, it was just another regular day for us. I remember, it's crazy. I have that day stuck in my head forever. So it's like I remember perfectly what happened, like in the morning. In the morning, it was a Tuesday, and it was a regular day for us. He had came to my house early in that morning to my son had twin day at school that day. He had came over that in the morning to my house. Justin had brought him a shirt that he was gonna wear with his friend at school. He got him ready for school. I was getting ready to go to work, just like another regular day. He's getting my son ready for school, and I believe he took him to school that day. He leaves with them. He takes him to school. I go to work. He calls me like 2-3 times throughout the day. He had a scheduled flight the next morning. So he was gonna leave out of town. So he was supposed to come before he left my house that morning. Before I left to work, he had told me he was gonna stop by at my house around 6-7 to drop off some things for my son that I needed, and to say bye to him because he was gonna be gone, I believe, for a week. And then throughout the day, I was at work. I get off work around 5. I go pick him up from my mom's house because she had picked him up from school. And then Jay had called me like around 3 or 4 saying that to let him know when I was on my way to my house because he was going to be on his way there. It's around 6:37. I pick up my son. We go to my house. I didn't really think much of it. I was just like, you know what? Like, I didn't seem to call him because he was already gonna come over anyways. So, like another regular day, I get home. My son's getting ready, doing homework, showering. I'm making dinner. It's around 8 p.m. He hasn't called me yet, but I didn't think, like, again, like, I didn't think nothing of it. I sit here and think to myself why I didn't call him, but I didn't call him because I'm like, either way, he had to stop by. It's around 9 p.m. Still no call. I think around 9:30, I said to myself, if he doesn't call me around 10, I'm gonna call him. I put my son down to bed around 9, and I think around 9:30 is when his brother Xavier starts calling me. He calls me like 2-3 times, but I thought it was because Xavier rents from me. He rents my apartment, so at first I thought it was something to do with that. When he calls me and he tells me everything, my heart dropped. Literally after that, it was like a blur. Um, he briefly tells me what happens. I'm screaming, I'm crying. My son wakes up, he's crying. He tells me he's gonna drop the location to where he's at because I guess Xavier was already at the crime scene. I don't even like. After that, I'm telling you, it was a blur. Like, I don't even know how I drove there. I was shaking. I didn't even know how I drove to the crime scene. I grabbed my son. We left. We drove to where Xavier was at, and he couldn't confirm at first that it was Justin because the whole street was like blocked off, and we couldn't see his car. So when I get there, we couldn't really confirm if it was Justin or not. And that's where Sam was already there. Xavier was there, and everything happened just so quick. They tell us that he was taken to UMC. We go to UMC. They couldn't confirm that it was him. Um, just so much happened in between that, and then we end up going back to the crime scene, and that's where Xavier had confirmed that that was his car that was crashed in the corner. And that's when I'm just like, what? Before we left UMC, though, they had told we gave him our information to call us and let us know anything. After UMC, we go back to the crime scene. That's where me and Xavier noticed that was his car, and we confirmed that pretty much that it was him. And I believe we just ended up going home, but we didn't even sleep, honestly. We all just went home and pretty much waiting on a call to let us know what was going on. And then I guess UMC called his aunt that was on file as a family emergency. And the aunt's the one that calls me and tells me that it is Justice Smith and that we have to go say our goodbyes to him. So I called Xavier, and again, I'm crying. I grab my son, we go. And then I believe I called Xavier, and we all just drove so fast to UMC, and then that's when they tell us, like, that, that it was him, and they allowed us to see him one by one. And that's where we started telling the close friends, family down. We told Sam. Sam came so fast to the UMC. And after that, it was just a freaking blur after that. We have so many questions on what happened, why. We still do. We have no answers. Police is, I guess, doing their part, but it's about to be 6 months next month. And we still don't know.
If I could just add something to what Jojo said, one of the most significant parts of all of this that happened in the beginning was we left the crime scene and they had told us at the crime scene, because I'm the only one who talked to detectives, like had an actual in-depth conversation, which I mentioned to you, Sean.
Yeah.
I recorded. So from jump at the crime scene, they were basically just treating him like this was his fault, basically. They're asking me, like, well, why would he be here? I'm like, I don't know. We live 7 minutes from here. I don't know this neighborhood. Like, I have no idea why he's here. And the most significant part of it all, or whatever, was we leave the crime scene. And I'm not sure if it was a detective there that told us. I'm pretty sure it was a detective there on the scene. They didn't say, yeah, it's Justin Smith and he's at the hospital, but they basically, without saying, were like, yes, it is him and this is where he's at. So when we went to the hospital, we all rushed from the crime scene to the trauma center, and I'm not sure about, everyone else, but I feel like we were all kind of thinking like, okay, he's been shot, but he's okay. Like, we're going to be able to go see him at the, hospital right now. And when we get there, we tell them who we're looking for, and they, with no like they just blatantly were like, yes, he is here. Nobody can see him. And you guys aren't even supposed to know that, because I'm not sure if this
Hmm.
is true, but I guess in some situations or, accidents, whatever, depending on what has happened, the police, I don't know what the word would be, would basically like block.
Put a protection hold on the location of pretty much the
Yeah.
victim or the one that
Yeah.
was hurt.
So basically, we weren't supposed to know that he was there, but they told us. The, police told us that he was. So that's when they turned us away, because I guess we weren't even supposed to know he was there. And like Jojo said, we all, obviously couldn't sleep, but we went home thinking, okay, well, at least he's here at the hospital. He's probably fine. They did an emergency surgery on him, they said. So I feel like in our minds, we were kind of all very hopeful. But like Jojo said, a few hours later or the following morning, his aunt, called, and they made it seem like we had to get there right then and there, because they were gonna like pull the plug, but that was not the case. It was very disorganized and just, you know, I know the hospital only knows so much and the police can only, give so much information, but it was very just all over the place.
I just want to ask a couple questions. These are mostly for me because now I'm curious. I'm assuming Jay was the only person in the car.
No. So,
Oh, okay.
well, that's one of the biggest mysteries for us all is we did not know that Jay was out with anybody. But the thing is, when the incident happened, everybody was like going on their Ring apps and stuff, because, obviously that's what people do. When something happens, nearby, you can go on Ring and say, hey, did anybody hear that noise or whatever?
Yeah.
So in the neighborhood, there was a bunch of people commenting saying, hey, there was a car crash, someone's, passed away. But there was one specific comment that said, because these are the people that actually came out and helped Jay. Like, they heard of the crash and they were the first responders. They are the ones who got him help. It was a husband and wife, and I guess their kid um, saw somebody jump out of the car, front passenger, and start running. So that was like our number one fixation when all of this happened, because this was, I saw it with my own eyes, a comment on the Ring app saying, my kid saw someone jump out of the passenger and start running. So that to us was all very shocking, because we were like, who would do that? Who was in the car and why did they run? And none of us can figure it out, because Jay was a very not private person, but he wasn't involved in the streets. He was a father, he had his business. This man worked like crazy. If he wasn't working or with his kid, he was making music. And if he wasn't making music or working, he was traveling. He had just got his passport. He had just turned 28. His business was finally, like doing well. and things were looking up for him. And he didn't associate with people who, had negative energy or who just were trouble. That just wasn't him. He has a child, and like Jojo said, he was a great father. He would never put anyone in a situation like this. Like, that's how we all kind of feel that this was not supposed to happen. Like, he was a protector, a provider, and he had a lot of people relying and counting on him. And he would never put himself in a situation with, his own knowledge that would end up in this result. So it's a mystery.
And this was like on a residential street, I'm guessing, because you're saying ring cameras.
Yeah, it was in a neighborhood,
Okay.
almost like on a cul-de-sac.
Okay. I got you. Okay. And then do any of you have a copy of the police report?
No, they didn't give us anything.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, they literally, I'm
Yeah,
the
we
only one.
never got a police report. I left my number with multiple detectives and officers. They've never personally contacted me, although they did contact Sam one day after, and that was the end of that.
Yeah, like I was saying, they interviewed me at the scene. I think it was like maybe like a 14-minute conversation. And then they called me the next day, basically just asking me, I wouldn't even say asking, almost like pressing me for more info if I knew anything. And they were very adamant in saying, if you have any questions or concerns, please call us. And, we were very vigilant and quick with trying to get any answer as to how this happened. So we, had family members go back to the neighborhood, knock on doors, ask to see ring cameras from different, people. And we tried to, communicate that to them, and nothing. Not a word since March 6th.
Yeah, I wasn't the one who received the crash detection. That would be one of his closer musician friends. But immediately after he arrived to the scene, saw it was police taped up and couldn't get any information. So he had called me right as I was clocking out for my 12-hour shift. Pretty much told me, hey, your brother set off a crash detection to my phone. This is location. I have no clue what's going on, and they won't tell me anything. Maybe you can get some answers. So I rushed down to the scene. I was there for probably maybe an hour by myself before I started to call anyone because like Sam was saying, I was walking around hearing, oh, someone was shot, this and this, and pretty much as every time I would go to ask officer, like, hey, my brother set off a crash detection here. I was the one that got it. Here's my ID. Like, I gave him all my information. They took all my information down and then pretty much told me, oh, I can't tell you anything. It's confidential. But I was, like Sam was saying, I was hearing multiple civilians just walk up, ask them about stuff, hey, what's going on? And they would flat out say, like, oh, there was a crash, yada, yada, this. We can't say too much, but they were getting more pieces of stuff that we would get. Being the one big incident where there was the couple that walked up and the officer told them that pretty much someone was shot in the head. And that's what kind of really turned the whole situation from it being just a potential car crash to me really being worried about my brother. And then eventually the detective did maybe come and speak. I was there probably at like 8:05, and the detectives finally came to talk to us. I want to say at like maybe close to 10 or 11. They spoke with Sam rather than me. It was a short little conversation. After I'd asked to spoke with them, they kind of like shooed me away. They told her the little piece of information about, oh, he's at UMC. So we rushed down there, like she was saying, obviously a little hopeful, thinking that we can see him and stuff like this, not knowing that they had already placed a protection hold on him and we weren't even supposed to know where they were going. So it's just like Sam was saying, the biggest thing about all this is the way that they were handling it. It seems very, very not, I don't know, not very up to date, not on procedure. I don't think they're following the right protocol or anything. And then obviously, like I said, the fact that we haven't heard from them since March 6th is kind of crazy.
I'm curious about the police report, and I wonder if it's possible to get a copy of that.
Yeah, so I mean, I know you guys saw the news report, but they're so vague. Like it's an isolated incident, and then once he passed, then they just are like, "Oh, the victim of that isolated incident passed away. End of story." Like it just seemed even in the news report that they weren't really concerned. Like there was no Metro is vigilantly looking for the people that did this. It's like someone was killed. It's not like just something, to be taken lightly. It's like somebody's life was taken in a community where plenty of families and kids are in pretty much broad daylight. It was not even dark out yet. So it's just the way they have gone about it from jump just seems like they don't care. And like I mentioned, I'm the one who, talked to the detectives at the crime scene. And I mean, the sad, reality is a lot of times people of color are, kind of, they get a blind eye because whatever reason. And I feel like, you know, it's Las Vegas. They don't want people to be scared to come here. They don't, want to make themselves look bad. So they just kind of play it out to be not that, you know, not as scary as what it really is. When I say they were very basically rude, they were not in any way, shape, or form helpful. The whole protect and serve thing, I have been looking all over for it because they're not doing either of those things.
What do you believe needs to happen for justice to be served in this case?
I feel like the first step would be for them to at least give us an update because, I mean, we're all grieving and it's just they're saying one thing and doing another. And I mean, I get it. They have to do their investigation. A lot of things they can't share with us for the safety of others. But I feel like, I mean, to say, call us if you have any questions and then ignore us for 6 months, I feel like they at least owe it to us to, sit us down and say something. I feel like the only way we will get justice is if they, start communicating with us. They have his phones. I feel like obviously in any tragedy, if something happens to someone, their phone is going to have a lot of answers. And we all feel like he wouldn't have just went to that random neighborhood. So in his phone is probably everything we need to know. And it just I feel like they need to be more on top of it. I mean, obviously, you can't rush these types of things, but it's just like it's 6 months with the ring footage that we have. Obviously, we're not detectives, but everything we've gathered in the eyewitness statement we have, which I mentioned to you, Sean, I also had. He wanted to be anonymous, but I mean, this guy saw it. It happened right in front of his house. He saw everything. So it's just for us to know all this, to have seen very cryptic videos of people with ski masks, they're running, they're frantic, they're all over the place. It's just with all of these factors, how have you guys not said a word?
I think they need to start doing their jobs and start communicating with us. Obviously, I know things can't be rushed and you have to do it a certain way. But to leave his family and his loved ones completely dry and with no information through this grieving process, I feel like is very cold of the North Las Vegas Police Department. Um, Especially with the detectives. Like I said, me being that I personally asked to speak with them, I've left my number with them and all their officers. And It's been months and months upon not hearing a single word, not having an update, and even like you said, the news article being very vague. I would just like some type of answers to at least try and maybe see what they know, see if they don't know the little stuff that we picked up. Just pretty much like she was saying, communication, letting us know that this isn't just going to go over their heads and they're actually going to do something about that would give us a lot of, I feel like, sense of like clarity in the thing, give us a little bit of a step forward with the grieving process and stuff. Because as of right now, I really feel like they're just kind of letting him be another one of the numbers of black young men that have been murdered in our country, and I really don't like that because he wasn't just that. He was a business owner, a dad, a brother, a friend, an inspiration. He was something in this world.
In Nevada, we have the Nevada Victims Bill of Rights, which outlines what crime victims are legally entitled to from the justice system. And a lot of the stuff you're talking about is on the list. It does not only apply to the actual victim of a crime, but also the family member. Some of the things are to know the status of the case in which you're involved, to know when impounded property may be released.
Yeah, see, that's another big question that's been on our mind. Obviously, material things aren't the biggest thing, but like Sam was saying, we know that his phone would have things. Obviously, he was going out of town, so we know he has his luggage and stuff with him, just personal items that we know his son would love as memorabilia or something like that. Pretty much like I said, it's just we haven't got any communication with them. We haven't had any answers, any updates, so we have literally nothing to go on for all this time.
Are there any specific challenges that you're facing right now? Like, are you calling and they're not responding?
Yeah, so we were trying to contact them, and pretty much we wouldn't get through to anything. That's why I don't know if Sam has told you anything about it. We are planning on maybe setting up a protest, going to do something like that, similar to try and urge them to get back to us. But yeah, no, I personally have called. I know
We've done several news interviews.
Yeah.
Like at least 3 in English and Spanish.
Yeah. So, yeah, we've tried to press the issue on them. It's really seeming like they're just taking a lackadaisy approach to it all and kind of just kicking back, which is why we're going to let them know that we're not stopping because, like I said, this isn't just another number that's going to go down in a book. This is a loved one to a lot of people out here.
Outside of the police, it's sounding like they're not giving you all, does anyone want to talk about just other members of the community, how maybe they've supported you during this time?
Well, yeah, definitely. Like Sam was saying, the community that in which the neighborhood it all happened in was obviously very helpful. They were very compliant, very understanding that, like Sam was saying, just this has happened to our loved one, and at any moment this could happen to any one of them because obviously these people are still out there. So they were more than willing to help us. They took us in with open arms, let us in their household, sat down and talked with us. Although they did want to remain anonymous, and I can definitely respect that, they still did, put themselves in some type of danger to tell us what happened from their point of view, from their eyes, just to try and give us and our family some type of clarity. So we really do appreciate that, as well as I know going forward, if anyone else sees anything, that would be, obviously a big help. I know it can be scary to come forward and speak, but obviously if we could get the answers and get them off the street, there's no reason to be scared.
Honestly, I agree with both with what Xavier and Sam are saying. We pretty much we need some type of vibe updates from them. Like we haven't heard nothing. Like nothing. It's about to be 6 months and we haven't heard nothing. Like I don't even think like we can be okay. I don't think we'll be like in peace or okay until we find anything, like any type of justice for him. Because it wasn't fair to him. It wasn't fair to none of us. It wasn't fair to his son that it took his life. And I feel like, I don't know, this past month's just been so much, and just like they said, they haven't told us anything. Like not even, hey, we're trying, hey, we're doing this, hey, what else can we get? They have their phones, they have everything, so it's like I don't know what much more they're doing. Or I know it's not easy, I'm not saying it's an easy case, but I feel like this is what I personally think, that his case is being left to the side. Because they sit there and say, call us if anything. We call them, nothing. Xavier has called them, Sam has called them, and not even a single update. and I don't think that's fair for none of us.
I feel like the one thing that we definitely could ask for from the community is some support with the upcoming protest. If we can, make it a big enough matter to where the police can't ignore us, can't ignore families like us that have similar cases, that have loved ones that have passed and have no answers. I feel like that would probably definitely boost the boost the police with a fire under their ass to get some answers going out, get something done, rather than just kind of, like Sam was saying, sweeping everything under the rug in order to make sure that they still have their tourists coming in.
Sam, do you want to say anything about where the plans are with this and how folks can help support you?
Yeah, protest, march, not really sure. We just want to make sure that we're getting the message across peacefully, but we want to make it clear. And like Xavier said, there are plenty of other families that are going through the same thing that haven't gotten a single answer. I spoke to one lady at the news and she has been very helpful. She's with Channel 11 and she's made it aware that Metro has been very hard to get a hold of. They're not giving anybody answers. There's another family out here that, when this first happened to us, hadn't heard anything for 170 days. And that was 6 months ago. So, we hope and pray that's, not our case. And hopefully they have gotten some answers by now. But it's just, we just need the community to come together. It's bigger than us. And, although this is our loved one and to us he is the most important thing, but it's bigger than Jay. It's for the safety of the whole community. Like, at the end of the day, those police officers have to take off their uniform and live in the same city and world that we are all in, and there are murderers on the streets. It's just this plain sad truth. So people just need to think about the bigger picture, because, a lot of people's safety is at risk and the world is getting crazier, and, we all just need to come together.
What do you want people to remember most about Jay?
He was a great example of, if you want something, you can achieve it. It doesn't matter where you start. Always keep moving forward. He was very, very driven person, and he had been through a lot. He lost his best friend to gun violence. So you know, he knows our pain, and he always kept going. So, yeah, I just want people to remember him for the, you know, bright person that he was. He wasn't the tallest, but he would walk into a room and command it. He just had that type of presence.
He was one of a kind person for sure. I done seen Jay come out of a lot of things, and I'd known him since we were 19 years old, so it's like we went through a lot of good things, a lot of bad things, but it was more good things, and obviously we weren't perfect with each other, and the best thing that he loved me was our son, because I just look at him and he just reminds me so much of him, and it's hard trying to explain to a child, but he was, like I said, he was one of a kind person. He for sure was there he helped out a lot. He was always handing out his hand to help out, no matter what. Even he tried to, even with people that he had bad past with, he would try to pass that on. I seen him grow a lot as a person, and I feel like what I'm always going to remember him is as the person that he was with me and our son, and just the person that he was with everybody, honestly. He had a lot of people that loved him, so
pretty much like Sam was saying, just the type of person that he was. He was a courageous, loving, outgoing person. Um, really couldn't do even his worst enemy any harm because all he had was love in his heart. Even though he grew up a little bit bad than everyone else, he held his shoulder high. And going through the same pain that we're going through now, he never let any of us see it on his face. He carried himself so well. Um, all I can say is just I just want people to know my brother for who he truly was: the loving, giving man, the father, the business owner, the hardworking person. And like Sam said, literally the manifestation of if you want it, you just have to go get it.
Jay's friends and family are planning a peaceful march to ask that the North Las Vegas police provide an update on Jay's case, which of course is their right under the Nevada Victims' Bill of Rights. We'll keep you informed of the date and location of the march when we have the details. If you have information that could help locate the person or persons responsible for Jay's murder, please contact the North Las Vegas Police Investigative Bureau at 702-633-1773. Or if you want to remain anonymous, you can contact Crime Stoppers of Nevada at crimestoppersofnv.com or call 702-385-5555.
We're going to finish by playing a clip of one of Jay's songs that his family agreed to let us play here. On YouTube, it'll probably be muted because of copyright, but we're going to include links in the show notes so you can find all of Jay's music. You can find it on YouTube. His user ID is JGrinds. That's with a Z, Grinds 702, Jay Grinds 702. You can find it on Apple Music or Spotify just by searching for Jay Grinds. And pretty much all the standard platforms, you can find it there too. And we recommend you giving it a listen. Thank you as always, and remember that what happens here happens everywhere.
It's Jay. It's crazy knowing that you changed, but I just wish you stayed the same. I've been going through some things and they ain't fucking with my brain. While we on some pregnant, so I'm dealing with the pain. She's still trying to find herself, just take your time and throw it. It's crazy knowing that you changed, but I just wish you stayed the same. I've been going through some things and they keep fucking with my brain. Call me up some drink, that's how I'm dealing with the pain. She's still trying to find herself, just take your time and throw shade. Ask me how I did it, it took patience. I ain't going back and forth with these bitches cause I basic. Baby call my phone, she got some money, shit I take it. I don't understand the way that I've been living, so they hate it. I don't even understand this shit myself, so I can't blame it. All you know, once I apply that pressure, you can't shake it. I'm just trying to build a bond that's extra strong so they can't break it. Told y'all I've been running from my problems, time to face them. I just hope that you gon' really hold me down. How you say you got me, you don't never come around. Said he on the block, but we don't never see you out. I keep running through this money, I'm just tryna make it count. Tell me what you do if it's time to risk it all. When it comes to the streets, you can tell who not involved. If they get to asking questions, I ain't talking not at all. We gon' see who really stepping when it's time to set it off. I just lock my nigga up, I try to answer every call. All these bitches hit me up, but who gon' be there when I fall? Backwards to the face, but I swear this shit never changed. I'm tryna touch another track, go and drop it on the chain. If you ever say you love me, please don't say that shit in vain. And I know I'm acting different, probably said I'd never change. I've been going through the motions, how I'm supposed to say the same. I mean, I really copped it foreign, just to slide it in the rain. Couple bitches I done fucking, they don't even know my name. A couple things that we done did, but I'ma take it to the grave. No, I ain't never check up on me, I ain't tripping, doggy straight. And I ain't never wrote no statement, pay the lawyer, close the case. Chopper in the trunk, but this fin up on my waist. Had to kick the parties, I keep hearing that they fake. All the money in the world, it still won't save you from the pain. Gotta calculate the risk, you try to go against the grain.
Thanks for listening. Visit sinspod.co/subscribe for exclusive bonus content and to listen ad-free. Remember to like and follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Threads at Sins and Survivors. If you're enjoying the podcast, please leave us a review on your podcast platform of choice. You can contact us at questions@sinsandsurvivors.com.
If you or someone you know is affected by domestic violence or needs support, please reach out to local resources or the National Domestic Violence Hotline. A list of resources is available on our website, sinsandsurvivors.com. Sins and Survivors, a Las Vegas true crime podcast, is researched, written, and produced by your hosts, Sean and John. The information shared in this podcast is accurate at the time of recording. If you have questions, concerns, or corrections, please email us. Links to source material for this episode can be found on our website, sinsandsurvivors.com.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the podcast creators, hosts, and their guests. All individuals are innocent until proven guilty. This content does not constitute legal advice. Listeners are encouraged to consult with legal professionals for guidance.